Greetings to the Boss Moves family. I'm Charles. I got my partners, aka my partners, out here. Trey and Mo, right beside me. What's happening, fellas?
What's going on, family?
Goody.
Peace.
What's goody?
Word. What up? What up? So, as we do on this cast, we're getting into the noteworthy boss moves, you know, in the country, in the world, in the city, like everywhere we are. We're getting into the noteworthy boss moves, and we dabble into some financial news if there's something to talk about. And today, something that happened a little bit earlier in the month. Timbaland and Swizz have Verzuz. And as y'all know, Verzuz is that platform that became really popular at the height of the pandemic. Nobody was leaving the house. So we had these epic, battles between R&B stars, between rappers. It was mostly R&B at first, but it's kind of branched out all over the place now. But it's kind of, it's the culture. And if you know about Triller, Triller is an app. I think they're a competitor of TikTok. Yeah. However, Triller, they're the ones that put on that Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fight. So they're kind of doing big things in different arenas as well. And the news was that Timbo and Swizz sold Verzuz to Triller. I mean, an undisclosed amount. We don't know. They haven't released how much it is. We probably could really dig and find it, or somebody would estimate, or probably gonna come out in the next couple of weeks. But they sold it to Triller. I want to know: did Timbo and Swizz sell out?
Man,
did they sell out?
Also did the Nate Robinson fight, that Nate Robinson debacle.
Right.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh man, that right there, that was some bug. Memes for days.
Terrible.
But so, I mean, this is my thing. So we're talking about whether they sold out or not. I always want to see, my brothers, make big boss moves. That's what we're all about over here, is big boss moves. But it just reminds me of it. Honestly, it almost reminds me of the early days of hip hop. We didn't have much, couldn't go to the discos in Manhattan. So what do? We get the street lights, get some crates,
get
some turntables. We in the park. And what do we start, just as the genius black people we are? We start this thing called hip hop that takes over the world. Now here we are, pandemic. Everything's shut down, can't go to the clubs. What do we do as the genius black people we are? We start Verzuz.
We create something else.
We create something. Creators out of nothing. Right. And we created this thing, and it really took off and blasted off with two legends of hip hop. We talk about Swiss and Timbaland, two legends of hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? Two legendary producers. So they really cornered that and really just had it on lock. So to give it up, to be honest with you, I guess it's almost like hip hop almost foreshadowed it. I mean, yeah, you're going to give this up and now you don't control it anymore. I mean, it sounds good. Yeah, you can be, on the board of directors and all that sounds good, but you don't control it. You don't control the content. You don't control how it's administered to the people. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
And, the dollar amount is cool, but at the same time, it's our culture, and it's how we present it to the world. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what makes it special.
And that's what makes it special. And that's what we've given up now. So it's almost just like BET. It's like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you sold it for $1 billion. You became a billionaire, but now look at BET.
Bro, there are endless examples.
Right.
You got BET.
Absolutely.
Jay-Z just sold Tidal. You got Carol's daughter. If you remember that whole thing, 2014. She built that up. It ain't black owned no more. And that's a big deal. Like, there's numerous examples that we could talk about. But Mo, what you think, man? They sell out or what?
I mean, it's hard to say, if they sold out completely. I mean, they sold the company, they sold the brand. However, they're still they still have some say-so in it because they're still going to be hosting it. So they're still going to be, you know, bringing in acts because they're part of the visionary team too, and the management team. So
they are retaining some type of control.
Right. They still have some control of it. I mean, in any business, we know in any business, if we just take race out of it, a strictly business,
I ain't taking race.
You always want to buy low, sell high.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
They started from nothing and sold it for something. So, I mean, congrats to them. Kudos to them. I mean, you know, we got to get something out of it. And also the people who were in it are also getting something out of it too. They're getting a check and they're owning part of the business too, part of Triller.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the dope part about this.
Yeah.
Whatever side of it you fall on, like according to this vulture.com article, so they've split part of their stake in Triller among the 43 artists who have performed on Verzuz so far. Which I think that's pretty damn, that's pretty dope. Like I thought that was dope. Like I don't know what that is, but whatever stake that they were, you know, that they were given for, you know, their ownership had to be a good little size, and they split it among everybody who's been on Verzuz so far. That's just dope for those artists. You know what I mean? Right. So I like that part of it.
Definitely like it. Definitely. Patty and Gladys getting money with the young folk.
Man.
Right.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. They was paid now.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yes. They didn't need the money, but it's nice to get something for what you know what I'm saying, for your work.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
and you know, I thought it was a win all around. I mean, it's better than the hip hop, you know, when hip hop first came on the scene, well, we ain't getting nothing. You know what I'm saying? Zero. At least we getting something out of it. We getting a check. They getting a check.
I mean, I feel that way when my folks are successful. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course. I understand that totally.
This is the way I look at it.
They still have some say so.
Some say so is not all say so. It's not control. Some say so and control are definitely on. They're on opposite sides of the 50-50 line, of the 50% line. You know what I'm saying? Control has at least 51%. Some say so has definitely 49% or less. Now, also what I will say is you have to see the person who's buying any negotiation, any business deal. You always have to ask yourself, why are they giving me this money for this? What do they see that maybe I don't see? What can they see? Are they about to, they might give me $1 million, but they see 100 million in 10 years.
That's right.
So we also have to look at, and when we're talking about money at this level, it is also about control of a culture. It's not always about money, because when you control a culture, you're going to make money controlling the culture. You can get them to buy products, you can do whatever. You can style them your way or whatever. So you always have to think of, what are they getting? They're controlling our culture. Whatever millions that, you know, the 43 artists and Timbaland and Swizz got, I'm glad for them. At the same time, though, is it worth them being able to control our culture and how the media presents itself? Just like I told y'all, when I'm down in the Dominican Republic, it's all, you know, America is great, America is this. But when you see it, you be like, okay, you really only know America from whatever they put on TV.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's all you know. I told you, I had one person down there that literally told me that there are more black people in America than white people, because that's all they see on TV.
That's all they see now.
Yeah. That's all they see on TV. They're watching all these videos. They see black people just making money and just riding in, you know, Rolls Royces and you know, and they think that's what it is. And I'm like, no, black people are a percentage of the population, definitely not majority in the country over white people whatsoever.
So, I mean, there was a time when you didn't see black people on TV, except for, I mean, in our lifetime, like, you know, 20, 30 years ago, you had to go to BET, you had to go to a certain channel, and guess what? That was the perception then. Oh, there are not that many black people in the United States.
And see, that's what happens when they control the culture. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll put you on TV, sure. Here's, you know, Lil Wayne and Gucci Mane, and nothing wrong with those brothers, and Nicki Minaj or whatever, nothing wrong with those sisters or whatever, but that can't be all that is portrayed on TV is Lil Wayne, Gucci Mane, and Nicki Minaj. You understand what I'm saying? When they know, you know, Gucci Mane before they know Marcus Garvey or they know Malcolm X, you understand what I'm saying? That's where the problem becomes. It's not, you know, so the industry, we export entertainment in America.
Mm-hmm.
We export media and entertainment. So it's literally no different than a slave trade. Now, if you were putting intelligent Black people out here to the masses and you go to other countries and they're like, oh man, yeah, Black people are the most intelligent people in the world, I would love it. Sure.
Right.
I'm like, you all are taking our culture, our intelligence, our genius, and putting that out there for the world to understand who we really are. But that's not
But
what's
it's
happening.
quite the opposite what is pushed.
Right.
It's quite
Exactly.
the opposite.
Exactly.
So think about it from this standpoint too. And Mo, think about it from this standpoint. Like, there are some positives, but the positives are that, they got paid and they, they're getting, they're stakeholders, that they're getting paid, something. Right. But think of it this way. If you juxtapose what Jay-Z just did in him selling Tidal versus Kanye, who's retaining ownership. There's a lot of articles that just came out the last couple of weeks talking about how Kanye, his brand has jumped in value to like 6.6 billion, and therefore his worth 6.6 billion. He's the richest Black man in America. This, that. Some stuff came out after it saying that might not be quite accurate, but we do know that he retained his brand and that it did jump in value from the 3 to 4 billion it was last year. And you talk about, what in entrepreneurship and in business, what you want to do, buying low and selling high, or creating and selling high. Mm-hmm. But what if you're not selling your top? Just like Trey said, what if you're not seeing the vision that the other people see? The vision as far as control goes and the vision as far as money goes. I'm sure they see 100 million, valuation. And, some folks are playing chess and some folks are playing checkers. And I think we need to just retain ownership and monetize it that way of our culture, of our brands, before we just so easily let it go. Because you could argue the same thing with Bob and BET, Bob and his wife and BET. They sold it for $4 billion.
But and now, is Bob Johnson even worth $4 billion?
Oh no, because he got divorced right after, and he was quickly worth $2 billion.
Right there.
He was quickly worth $2 billion.
And don't know if he's even worth $2 billion now.
So, yeah, maybe not. I don't know what he's doing.
Like, was the money really worth it in the end? Is the only question.
I'd love to ask him that.
I understand. I definitely understand that side. I mean, I see both sides of the coin. In my eyes, however, I'm seeing that I didn't really see it progressing that much with it just being in this tight circle. I mean, if you think about it, the last act was, and who watched it? Keisha Cole and Ashanti. I mean, come on now. We're going downhill now. We ain't going uphill. We had D'Angelo versus
D'Angelo. D'Angelo versus who?
D'Angelo versus D'Angelo.
I was going to say, it wasn't nobody on it with.
Exactly. Right. I mean, it was only so far that we could take it ourselves. Unfortunately, they have more access.
I can't say I agree with that.
That's the thing. They have more access. So let's be real, they already own the culture. Hip hop has been owned not by us.
You think it's been bought and sold for years?
Not by us.
You might be right about that.
So we're not playing new music. We're not playing new stuff. People are not really performing. Most of them are sitting down and letting their record play. And they can't even let the whole thing play. You know what I'm saying? They can't even let the whole thing play. So I'm like, hey, we created this thing. Let's ship it off, get our money's worth, and let's start working on something else.
Yeah. Because that's what we've been known to do.
Yeah, because there's
we did rock and roll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They took it, we packaged it, sold it, they took it.
Yeah.
We did jazz. We did hip hop.
Country.
We did country.
Country.
Mr. Pride. And
I
forgot the other name. Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff. We created those things and moved on to the next thing. Okay, so what's the next thing? Is that what we do? We just create it, get bored of it, let somebody else have it, and just move on to something else?
I think as long as we are selling it to where we feel like we're getting the money's worth. Of course, they can, they can have rock and roll, I mean, who would y'all want to see that's white on there? I mean, I can understand seeing what the NSYNC versus Backstreet, you know what I'm saying? They want to see something like they're gonna monetize it their way.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. They're gonna do that.
Now, but this is my thing.
The way we had it was we weren't even paying people. People weren't paying, so they weren't willing to really get on there unless money wasn't really involved. Because they paid a lot of those artists. Now they're getting paid and continually to get paid.
I still can't get jiggy with it. We can at least look. What about the Master P model? What if we had 75, 80% ownership, used Triller as more of a distribution network to get their product out and take a 20% cut? I'm all good with the Master P. But when it's over here, like, oh yeah, I have some say so of this company that I started, or I'm one of the many board members of this company that I started and have, a small percentage and small say so. That's my only problem. I definitely understand partnerships, and I think it was a good partnership. Triller has been known, of course, like just like with Mike Tyson, that they can put on
big shows.
Good events. They can put on big shows. It's just like I have no problem with like Jay-Z getting with Live Nation. Smart move. Got your Rock Nation. We just need to make sure we retain as much control as possible, and because you're saying that we can't push it to those limits, but how do we know?
Yeah, I don't agree with that necessarily, but I mean,
we can't.
What I'm not saying, you're right saying we can't do it by ourselves, but
right.
Do you have to give up the ownership to do that? Like you said, the Master P model is, he did use distribution, but he used them and retained control. Mm-hmm. Like if we had to give up 20-30%, that's a big chunk. And then use them for distribution. They know for putting on these big shows. Okay, let's get NSYNC and Backstreet Boys involved. Like, okay, I'm willing to spread it out a little bit, but did they have to go for the whole gusto and just let it go?
I mean, we really don't know what they have on their plate. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're still an owner, if you're a majority owner, you still have to run a lot of things.
The responsibility.
That may not be where their heart is. Their heart might be in the music, be with their family. So we don't know their side of the story. Unfortunately, we don't have the numbers and all this other stuff. But I mean, I feel like they got what they wanted out of it. That's why they sold it.
Or they wouldn't have sold it. Yeah.
That's right. And I don't really think Jay-Z lost with selling Tidal, because he was in there with Beyonce, Rihanna and Kanye. So Kanye sold too. You know what I'm saying?
All of them. Well, I mean, I think it was kind of his decision or something.
I mean, but
they got their cuts.
They all put in on the pot. That's what I'm saying.
They got a bunch of $1 million checks, each of them.
And I think he's still on the board. So, I mean, as long as I feel like we have a say so in our art, in what we make, so they're not controlling the narrative 100%. I feel like, as long as we, I feel like we're winning.
There's the deal though, because what has been happening is it always shifts to them controlling the narrative 100%. I wonder how much say so they have. I wonder how much they actually gave up.
Because I can't think of one real business that is 100% owned by Black people that's doing the numbers that these businesses are doing. So, I mean, at least not off the top of the head.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that. I'm sure there are. Like,
sure there are.
But I think it's through partnership, of course.
Yes, partnerships. That's
partnership is something different. We talking Master P model once again,
right?
So what did Baby do with Universal? Did he sell it completely?
First of all, Baby is an employee.
That's what he did. He gave up everything.
And that's why I was so mad. Y'all know Lil Wayne just sold his masters for $100 million.
He sold all his masters.
You had Drake and Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne, and you sold those masters?
That's short-sighted, bro. That's short-sighted.
For only $100 million? I mean, that's crazy to me. Drake?
Yo, those masters will make $100 million in the next few years.
Right. I would have at least charged $1 billion. You'd have to pay me for Drake, Nicki Minaj, Wayne. You got to charge me. You got to pay me $1 billion. You know how much money you gonna make over time, over the next 50 years of having a man? Please.
So you make 100 million in like the next 10.
Like top 2 of the 3 top songs out there right now.
Easily in 10 years. I would say more like
probably 5. Yeah, probably 5.
I mean, we're talking about international. You know what I'm saying?
Catalogs.
Like, catalog. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's why.
Yeah, that's kind of deep. That's kind of deep.
We don't know if they need the money. We don't know what their situation is, unfortunately.
No, and obviously, to me, he had to need the money. I mean,
obviously,
he couldn't have sold a portion.
Maybe he needed more of the money. He might have needed more money.
Half of it got to go to Uncle Sam once you get that 100. 40 of it went to Uncle Sam.
Ouch.
Real quick.
Right.
40.
They gonna get it before you get
it. Right. Exactly. They get it before you get it. Uncle Sam all in your pockets.
Oh man,
they always win, man. Yeah, that's I don't know, man. I'm kind of up in the air on whether, I mean, like you said, we don't know what the circumstances were. I just can't. I just think it's short-sighted. I think about the moves Michael Jackson made with the Beatles, and in lieu of him selling those masters, because he ran into financial troubles. Like, he ran into financial problems. In lieu of that, he said, you know what? And they thought there was, that's the whole time before he was passing. Did we talk about this a little bit last time? The whole time before he was passing, the last 5 to 10 years, that's what they were trying to do, get him to sell that Beatles catalog. And it wasn't even Beatles. What was it? Sony? It was a big part of the Sony catalog.
Yeah, it was Sony catalog, right.
Yeah, because it had like Beyonce, it had like a whole bunch of stuff in there. It wasn't just Beatles. People always talk about the Beatles. It wasn't just the Beatles.
That was a big money maker.
That was one of the huge money makers. But in lieu of selling that stuff, which he considered, he said, you know what? Let me come up with a plan. Let me come up with some shit. And that's when the whole 50 concert thing came up. And that's when he ended up, in the dirt. So
gotta strategize, exactly. So we just need to basically, in the end, form an economic base. That's really where we fall into trouble, and we always have to sell out. It's because we don't have an economic base. We don't, really trade goods amongst each other. We don't control industries.
Right.
Everybody else, even immigrants that come over, they all control industries. They control things, control certain businesses, subways, cleaners, bodegas, whatever you call it. So that's just what and honestly, really pressure on just American black men. Like, black men really have to do it and really control industries, take over, and go from there. So that way, people like this, like Timbaland and Swizz Beatz don't feel like they even have to sell out. They know, like, okay, I can get my stuff into different markets and I can make 100 million on this in the next 10 years easy. Why sell it? Why sell it for 75 million right now when I know in the next 10 years I'm about to make 100 and then keep going?
Right.
So
right. I can't even be shut out. I can't be shut out because my people control this industry. They control that. Right. Like, they're not gonna shut me out. But
we definitely need that. And I mean, a part of the reason why we don't have that, we know. So
exactly, it's not that simple. Like, we just didn't do it.
We're forced to do some of these decisions. You know what I'm saying? We don't have access to capital. Like,
but to be honest with you, we always have a choice. Like, I understand. Like, we were, forced into this situation, or we tried. But when you're talking about just men and the battlefield and war and business,
there's no try.
There's no, did you succeed or not? No, you failed.
Did you do it or did you not?
Exactly.
Yeah, did you fail?
Strategize and go back at it. Like, there is no, we tried, and what's going on now? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what I have to ask us as black men. Like, okay, that's great. We tried. We had Black Wall Street in Tulsa, so we don't do it again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why is that past tense? We tried.
Right. You know? We learn from our mistakes. We reorganize, re-strategize, and then go back at it. There's no style. It's either that or they're just lay down in defeat, and that's not an option.
Yeah, bro, we got to be like ants.
Exactly.
Ants ever lay down? You knock that shit down, what they do? You come back out there the next day, it's back.
Right.
Every time. And if you keep knocking it down, they just gonna move it down 5 feet away, and they're gonna build it again.
Right.
So very interesting, fellas. Great little discussion. But we're gonna end it right there. I just think it's something for us to ponder as Black men, as you say, seriously. And my answer's still up in the air whether they really did the right thing. You know, I'm sure they did the right thing for them. But this is Boss Moves. Check us out at BMBAinvesting.com. Go to stayfreshcc.com. And Mo, why don't you tell them where they can find us on social media?
Social media, we're on Instagram, Boss Moves _ BMBA. As Charles already threw out, we are now owners of a cleaners in Nashville, Tennessee. So our cleaners is Stay Fresh CC. That's Stay Fresh CC on both Facebook and Instagram.
Boom. So until next time, Boss Moves. We out.
Boss Moves. Peace.
Peace.